guys, it's Rick Overstat, and in today's video I'm going to be swatching the BH Cosmetics. This is the Fairy Lights palette. This is a 20 color shadow palette that they just came out with, and yes, the glitter is raised, and yes, occasionally it does fall off, and I have a couple of spots where it has fallen off and it's left ugly little black marks on it. But yes, the glitter is rough and you can feel it, but it is an iridescent like white, which is pretty. So just like a lot of the BH palettes, it does come with a mirror, and this one actually has color names on it. With the viewfinder broken on my camera, I have a hard time with trying to get it to pick up on anything because I can't see what it's doing anymore. So anyways, I'm going to start off, I'm going to do these in rows. And I'm going to be doing double layer swatches, and then I will do some video outside. So first we're going to start off with Brilliant, which is like this iridescent, I don't even know if it'll show up. It's like an iridescent shade. And we have Dazzling, Luminous, and Glistening. And as I'm recording this, I have already done 6 looks with this palette. Looks 1 through 4 are actually on my screen to be edited right now, and I left way too much room in between those shadows. And I'm doing double swatches like I usually do. And yes, I have swatches on my other arm as per usual. I figured if I'm going to be getting a shower here after I take the video of this outside, it just makes sense to go ahead and do swatches now. All right, next is Sultry, then Precious, Angelic, and I'll do those last 3 in a minute. So we have Sultry, Precious, and Angelic probably won't even show up, because it's basically my skin tone but pinker. And then we have Radiant, Bliss, and Divine. Now I've noticed that with working with this palette, there is a lot of like fallout with some of these shadows. I have noticed that with all the shimmer shades in this palette that I've had enormous amounts of like fallout with all of them. That bubblegum pink shade though, wow, that Radiant shade doesn't look that dark in the pan. But look what it did to my arm, holy crap. And of course my cat is in here. He was in my bathtub when I came in here. I told him I was going to film, and he just stayed in there snoring during the last video, and now he wants to come out here on the bathroom floor and lick himself. Ain't got time for it, cat. Hey! Now on to Enchanting, Gleaming, Mesmerize. Now if you look, the first row is shimmer, the third row is shimmer. But Divine is the only one that kind of throws it off. It's like a satin shade. And I think that's the only one in here besides, you know, out of these 2 rows that is not a matte shade. So we have Enchanting, which is like this purpley silver shade. Gleaming, which is oh so beautiful. It's like a gold and a bubblegum pink mixed. And then Mesmerize, which is a straight up freaking hot pink with hot pink glitter. And oh my god, it's like stunning. Enchanting is very, very crumbly, whereas Gleaming and Mesmerize are not as chunky. And this has a very pretty like lavender base to that Gleaming shade. This one here though, whew, I kind of wish that Trisha shade in that Conspiracy palette was like this. It's not. It feels like dry sawdust and sandpaper mixed. This one here feels like wet, super wet. Now on to Rare, which is this like beautiful like gold shade that has like a green and yellow shift. Twinkling, and Muse. So we have Rare, Twinkling, and Muse. I haven't had any issues with the mattes in this palette, like blending. I haven't had any issues with them like being patchy or not working on my skin at all. But I'm also a very fair complexion, as you can tell by the shade of my arm. So the first row, minus like this pink and this blue, is kind of very neutral. And these first few shades aren't even going to show up, neither does that one. But then these bottom two rows is like the kapow shades. So if you like working with color that has a little bit more impact, then this is a beautiful palette, especially if you want more neutral looks, but you want those powerful pops of color. This palette will give you that. And I think they've got it on their website for $20. It could be $21. I will leave it linked down below. And any corresponding videos that I have done with this palette, I will also leave linked in the description box so that you guys can see them. And then we've got Adorn, Marvelous, and Enamored. Enamored is not a very favorite shade of mine in the palette. I don't care for orangey brown shades. So we have, that was a bad swatch. Adorn, Marvelous, and Enamored. It's like a Pepto-Bismol pink. And that Enamored shade, or excuse me, the Marvelous shade is like an ebony brown black. It's not quite black, but it's not quite brown. There it is on my finger. It's a very interesting shade. Very interesting. And last we have Passionate, which is this like navy blue shade. I just put a cat hair on the palette. And that one looks a little chalky. That's one, I have used it, but I used it as kind of like a liner. It does look very patchy. So what I think I want to do really quick is I want to go ahead and try and take a brush into that Passionate shade, because I remember using it in a look, but I don't remember it being so, it feels kind of chalky. It's got a yellow undertone to it as well. Well, there's a lot of kick up in the pan. There's quite a bit of fallout on my skin as well, and I mean, it blends out okay, but this is a shadow that you would definitely have to like do extra work with. Now I want to pick up, this is a Wet n Wild brush. It is a little bit damp from the last video that I did, but I want to pick up this Brilliant shade, but I'm going to dip it in my water again, and I usually run it on the back of my hand to get the bristles wet, and then I dab it off onto like my makeup cloth. But I want to use it in this like Brilliant shade. I don't know if this will show up on my skin better wet or not. It's like this iridescent like purpley pink shade. That'd be a beautiful lip gloss, I'll tell you that. I don't even know if this is going to show up on the camera, like in this lighting. Alright, so here is the Fairy Lights palette outside in direct sunlight. The sun is directly behind the camera. And this shade here, you're like barely going to be able to see it. Like the first few shades on my arm are going to be hard to see, period, just because of their coloring, as well as like this one here. And you can see that there's something there, but it's hard to see it because of the fact that, well, it's about my skin color. I'll move you a little bit so you see it this direction. Gosh darn it, it's cold out here. Alright, I'm moving into like more shaded light out here. this way. Here's more shaded light. Trying to stay out of the sun so you guys can see the colors better. Well, this is absolutely a stunning palette. That blue, that last blue though, it feels different than the rest of the shades in the palette as well. So it's up to you guys what you think, but I think it's a beautiful palette. There's like cat hair on it. There is fallout on the pan, but this is a stunning palette. Like I said, most of well, almost all of the shimmer shades in here feel wet to the touch. The matte shades and stuff are all very, very, very soft. They feel like satin when you touch them, except for that passionate shade. But other than that, I mean, this is a beautiful palette. I've used it to create a bunch of different types of looks, and hopefully you guys enjoy this swatch video. I will be going outside here in just a second to record outside video, as well as taking a few pictures in here, but I don't know what's going on with my ring light. It doesn't seem to be cooperating with me very much today. So anyways, I'm Rebecca Oberstadt. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic day or night wherever you are, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Have a good one. Bye.